Deep within the verdant mountains of old Korea, nestled amongst towering pine trees and babbling brooks, lived a humble woodcutter's family. Their small thatched roof house, a cozy haven, echoed with the laughter of two bright-eyed children, Oni, the wise and gentle older sister, and Kaidong, her spirited and playful younger brother. Their world was simple, yet filled with the richness of nature and the boundless love of their diligent mother. Camera pans slowly over a picturesque Korean mountain village, focusing on a small, charming hanok house nestled amidst lush greenery. The rising sun casts a warm, golden glow. Every few days, their mother, with a heart as strong as the mountain itself, would undertake a long and arduous journey. She walked for hours, carrying a heavy basket of freshly harvested vegetables and hand-stitched fabrics, all the way to the bustling market in the distant village. It was a tiring trek, but one she embraced with unwavering dedication, knowing her efforts brought warmth to their home and food to her children's bowls. Before leaving, she'd always prepare a simple meal, hug her children tight, and remind them to be good. Close up on the mother's face, her eyes are filled with love and a touch of weary determination as she embraces her children. Her hanbok is practical but neatly worn. Oni, Ki-dong, she would say, her voice soft but firm. Remember to lock the door tightly and don't open it for anyone until I return. Be good and look after each other. The children, knowing the importance of her words, would nod solemnly, watching her small figure disappear down the winding mountain path. Her footsteps, though fading, carried the promise of her return, and perhaps a few delicious TTEOK rice cakes from the market. This time, the journey felt particularly long. The sun had already begun its descent by the time she finished her trading, and the shadows of the mountains stretched long and eerie, painting the familiar path in shades of foreboding gray. The mother, basket now lighter but still visible, walks with a determined stride along a narrow, winding dirt path through a dense forest. The trees loom tall around her, casting long, dramatic shadows. Her back is slightly hunched, showing her effort. As twilight deepened, the mother quickened her pace. The air grew colder, and the rustling of leaves seemed to whisper ancient secrets. She clutched her basket tighter, her mind filled with thoughts of her children waiting for her at home. Just as the path rounded a particularly thick cluster of old oak trees, a low growl rumbled from the shadows. Her heart pounded like a drum. A large, menacing tiger with glowing golden eyes slowly emerges from the dense underbrush of the forest. Its powerful silhouette is framed against the fading light, sending shivers down the spine. Out of the deepening gloom, a terrifying figure emerged. A massive tiger, 호랑이, its stripes blending almost perfectly with the forest's shifting shadows. Its eyes, like molten gold, fixed upon her. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through her. But her thoughts immediately went to her children. She held up her small bundle of TTEOK rice cakes, the only treasure she had left from her market sales. "Please, mister. Tiger," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Don't harm me. Here, have these delicious rice cakes." Close up on the mother's face. Wide-eyed with terror, but also a desperate plea in her eyes. She holds out a small bundle of white rice cakes wrapped in a cloth. Her hands are shaking. The tiger, its predatory gaze unwavering, slowly approached. Its immense head lowered, sniffing at the offering. A low purr, more guttural than comforting, vibrated through the air. One by one, the mother offered the TTEOK, watching as the great beast devoured them with surprising swiftness. Each morsel bought her a moment of fleeting safety. "Are these all you have?" The tiger rumbled, its voice deep and gravelly, laced with a chilling politeness that was more terrifying than any roar. The mother swallowed hard, her heart still racing. "Yes, mister." "Tiger, that is all," she whispered, praying this ordeal would end. The tiger, still large and intimidating, is now closer to the mother. It delicately takes a TTEOK from her outstretched hand with its massive paw, its golden eyes never leaving her face, a hint of a sinister smile playing on its muzzle. The tiger eyed her for a long, agonizing moment. The last TTEOK disappeared down its gullet. The forest was silent, save for the frantic beat of the mother's heart. She knew, with a dreadful certainty, that the TTEOK would not be enough. The tiger let out a soft, almost mournful sigh, but its eyes still held that hungry, cold glint. Those rice cakes were good. "Ioma," it said, using the affectionate Korean term for mother, a word that now twisted into something sinister. "But I am still hungry. And you, Ioma, look rather plump and tasty yourself." The tiger, now standing fully upright on its hind legs, looms over the terrified mother. Its silhouette is massive and imposing, dwarfing her. Its expression is a chilling, knowing smirk. A shiver ran down the mother's spine. She tried to back away, but the tiger was too quick. With a swift, terrifying movement, the tiger seized her. There was no scream, only a muffled gasp as the forest swallowed her last breath. The beast, with a chilling efficiency, devoured her, leaving only her hanbok, traditional Korean dress, and her empty basket behind, a cruel trophy of its victory. The moon, now high in the sky, cast an indifferent silver glow on the gruesome scene. A close-up of the mother's discarded indigo geogori and emerald chima, lying crumpled on the forest floor next to her empty woven basket. A single ducus leaf rests on the fabric. The scene is quiet and somber, but the tiger's cunning knew no bounds. An idea, as wicked as it was audacious, began to form in its predatory mind. It looked at the mother's hanbok, then down at its own massive, striped body. A twisted grin spread across its muzzle. Carefully, painstakingly, the tiger began to don the mother's clothes. The indigo geogori stretched precariously, tearing slightly as it pulled it over its powerful shoulders. The emerald chima barely covered its muscular legs. It was a grotesque disguise, ill-fitting and absurd, yet in the darkness, it might just be enough. With a final adjustment and a chilling practice of a human voice, the tiger began its journey towards the children's house. The tiger, comically and menacingly dressed in the mother's stretched and torn hanbok, walks away from the scene. The clothing is clearly too small for its large frame, making it look both ridiculous and deeply unsettling. Meanwhile, at their small home, Oni and Kedong waited. The flickering oil lamp cast long, dancing shadows, making the familiar corners of their house seem strange and eerie. The wind outside howled like a hungry spirit, rattling the windows. Kedong, ever the more easily frightened, huddled closer to his sister. Ioma should be home by now. Oni, he whispered, his voice small. Oni, though trying to appear brave, felt a knot of worry tightening in her stomach. It was much later than usual. Oni and Kiedong huddled together inside their dimly lit hanok. Kiedong is clinging to Oni, who looks out a small window with a concerned expression. The flickering lamplight casts long, dramatic shadows. Suddenly, a scratching sound came from the door. Then, a voice, raspy and deep, called out, "Oni, Ki-dong, Ioma is home. Open the door." A wave of relief washed over Ki-dong, but Oni hesitated. There was something off about the voice. It sounded like their mother, yes, but deeper, gruffer, as if she had a terrible cold. "Ioma?" Oni called back, her voice tinged with suspicion. "Why does your voice sound so strange?" Close up on the wooden door of the hanok, with faint scratching marks appearing on it. The shadows cast by the moon highlight the texture of the wood, hinting at something unseen on the other side. The voice outside immediately changed, becoming higher-pitched, strained. "Oh, children, I caught a terrible cold on my way back. My throat is so sore." Oni's brow furrowed. She glanced at Ki-dong, who was now eager to open the door. "What about your hand, Ioma?" Oni asked, recalling their mother's smooth, gentle touch. "Show us your hand under the door." A pause. Then, a rough, hairy paw, clearly not human, slipped under the crack. Oni gasped, pulling Kidye back. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was not their mother. This was a monster. A large, hairy, striped paw with sharp claws pushes ominously under the gap at the bottom of the wooden door. Oni and Kedong recoil in horror, their faces illuminated by the dim lamp. Terror seized Oni. Her mind raced. The voice, the paw, it was clear. The tiger had tricked them. "It's not Ioma," she cried, pulling Kaidong fiercely away from the door. "It's the tiger?" Kaidong's eyes widened in dawning horror. Outside, a guttural growl replaced the strained voice. The tiger, realizing its disguise was compromised, began to claw furiously at the door, splinters flying as it tried to force its way in. The wooden door groans and splinters as the tiger violently claws at it from the outside. Inside, Oni, grabbing Kaidong's hand, frantically pulls him towards the back door of the hanok, their faces a mask of pure fear. "Quick, Kaidong! The back door!" Oni commanded, her voice surprisingly steady despite her pounding heart. They fumbled with the latch, their small fingers clumsy with fear. But finally, it swung open. They burst out into the moonlit night, their bare feet slapping against the cool earth. Their only hope was to reach the massive old chestnut tree at the edge of their yard, its branches reaching high into the sky. It was their sanctuary, their playground, and now their last refuge. Oni and Kedong sprint through their small yard towards a giant, ancient chestnut tree. The moon illuminates their desperate flight, their expressions a mix of terror and grim determination. They scrambled up the rough bark, their hands and feet finding purchase on familiar nooks and crannies. Kedong, surprisingly agile, followed close behind Onai, who climbed with a desperate speed she never knew she possessed. They pulled themselves higher and higher, until they were nestled amongst the thickest branches, hidden by the dense foliage. Just as they reached the highest accessible branch, the tiger burst through the front door, roaring in frustration. Its golden eyes swept the yard, narrowing as it spotted the children high in the tree. Close up on Oni's dirt-streaked face as she pulls herself onto a high branch, her eyes wide with a mix of exhaustion and relief, looking down at the tiger now pacing below. The tiger raged below, its powerful muscles tensing as it leapt, trying to reach them. But the children were too high. "You cunning little human cubs," it snarled, its voice raw with fury. "How did you climb so high? Tell me your secret." Oni, clutching Kedong close, thought quickly. She remembered a story, a trick. "Oh, Mr. Tiger," she called down, trying to sound innocent. "We just rubbed some sesame oil, tamgidam, on our hands and feet. It made us slide right up." The tiger, looking bewildered and comical in its ill-fitting hanbok, tries to climb the tree by rubbing its paws on its trunk, slipping and sliding down repeatedly with comical exasperation. The foolish tiger, blinded by its hunger and rage, actually listened. It scurried back to the house, found the sesame oil, and smeared it all over its paws and fur. Of course, this only made it impossible to climb, sending it sliding down the tree trunk with ridiculous thuds and growls. That didn't work. It roared, shaking its head in frustration, droplets of oil flying everywhere. "Tell me the real way, or I'll wait here until you fall." Close up on Oni's face, a hint of mischievousness, now mixed with fear, as she whispers a plan to Kedong. Kedong nods, his eyes wide with a mix of wonder and understanding. Oni knew she had to try one more time. "Oh, Mr. Tiger," she called, her voice trembling slightly. "We sharpened our claws like an axe, Toki, and dug them into the bark." The tiger, still enraged and desperate, ran back inside, found an old axe, and began clumsily hacking at the tree. It was a slow, painful process, but with its immense strength, it was beginning to make progress. The tree groaned, and chips of wood flew. The children knew their time was running out. The tiger, with a crude axe, awkwardly but powerfully hacks at the base of the tree. Large wood chips fly, and the tree visibly shakes, causing the children above to sway precariously. in that moment of utter despair, as the tree groaned under the tiger's blows, Oni and Kedong did the only thing they could. They clasped their hands together, closed their eyes, and prayed to the heavens above. "Oh, great sky god," Oni whispered, tears streaming down her face. "If we are good children, please send down a strong rope to save us. But if we are bad, send down a rotten rope to punish us." Kedong echoed her prayer, his small voice filled with desperate hope. As the children pray, a shimmering golden rope slowly descends from the star-filled night sky, twisting and glowing softly, reaching down towards their outstretched hands. And just then, as if in answer to their heartfelt prayer, a thick, shimmering golden rope descended from the heavens, glowing softly in the moonlight. Hope surged through their veins. With trembling hands, they grasped the rope. It was strong and firm, a direct lifeline from the divine. Oni took Kedong's hand, and together they began to climb, leaving the enraged tiger and their earthly home behind, ascending towards the celestial sphere. The tiger, roaring in disbelief and fury, watched them ascend, a mix of awe and utter rage contorting its monstrous face. Oni, holding Kedong's hand, gracefully climbs the golden rope, their small figures ascending higher and higher towards the celestial, star-filled sky. Below, the tiger looks up, enraged and helpless. The tiger watched the children disappear into the night sky, its golden eyes burning with insatiable envy and malice. "If those little humans can pray for a rope, so can I," it snarled, mimicking their prayer. "Oh, great sky god, if I am a good tiger, send down a strong rope. If I am bad, send down a rotten rope." But the heavens, knowing the tiger's wicked heart, had a different plan. A flimsy, frayed, and visibly rotten rope, made of dark, brittle fibers, descends from the sky towards the eagerly waiting tiger. It looks precarious and barely holding together. A rope did indeed descend, but it was not the golden, sturdy lifeline the children had received. This rope was dark, frayed, and looked ready to snap at any moment. The tiger, in its haste and foolishness, grabbed the rope without a second thought, scrambling up with all its might. But the rotten rope, true to its nature, snapped with a sickening crack just as the tiger reached a dizzying height. The rotten rope snaps dramatically. The tiger, high in the sky, cries out in terror as it plummets downwards, its body twisting uncontrollably against the dark night sky. With a terrifying roar that echoed through the entire valley, the tiger plunged back down to earth. It landed with a mighty thud in a field of millet, Joel, scattering the tiny grains far and wide, and to this day, it is said that the tiger's crushed body turned into the millet we see growing in the fields, a constant reminder of its greedy end. A wide shot of a vast field of golden millet swaying gently in the wind. In the distance, the small Hannock house and the ancient chestnut tree are visible under the now bright celestial bodies. As for Oni and Kedong, the sky god, touched by their innocence and resilience, granted them a special place in the heavens. Oni, always brave and bright, became the Sunhae, illuminating the world with her warm, protective glow. And Kidong, gentle and calm, became the moon Tal, watching over the world at night, his soft light a comforting presence. Sometimes, when you look at the sun and the moon, you might notice Oni's bright, protective gaze and Shedong's gentle, watchful eye. The camera pans up to the sky, where a majestic, benevolent sun, Oni, shines brightly next to a serene, comforting moon, Kedong, both glowing softly, watching over the world. The stars twinkle around them. This ancient tale of the sun and the moon teaches us a timeless lesson. Even in the face of immense danger, courage, quick thinking, and prayer can lead to salvation. It reminds us of the profound love of family, the importance of listening to our instincts, and that good will ultimately prevail over evil. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a cherished Korean folktale. If you enjoyed this story, please show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing to our channel for more enchanting tales, and sharing this video with your friends and family. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the magic of stories.